y'all. Welcome. It's good to see you. I hope you are doing well today. Today's video, I'm going to go over my spring-like decks. It's a little bit into spring now, but I'm in the right month in March. So let's start with the Seasons of the Witch, which I know everybody has seen already. But these are the Ostara and the Beltane oracles. And I love these decks. I love the series of decks. It helps me to stay in the season. I won't show them to you because, like I said, you've probably already seen them. So I love these. I change seasons with each deck with each season, however that goes. And so these are really nice for that too. Then I have a Lenormand deck, Lenormand. This is from Bouchette Design on Etsy. And it is it's Terra Lenormand. And she says, is a whimsical and enchanting deck sending divine play and love to you. So here are the backs. So for me, when I think of spring, I do think of the new green coming up. The birds are coming out. You're seeing more animals. And this just really embraces that for me. The different pops, like he has a flower in his mouth. You know, the little surprises that is kind of like spring when you go outside and you see the blade of grass coming up, or you actually, in a little while, you see a flower pop up. And it's like, oh, summer is coming. And that's what I think this shows and the feeling that it has. I love this deck. It is so beautiful. And the cardstock is a nice, smooth stock. Really nice to hold. Of course, it's smaller because it's Lenormand. So there's the size of it. But I love the colors and the artwork. It just makes me so happy, this deck. So that was the Bouchette Designs on Etsy. Go check them out because they have so many beautiful decks. They have some Oracle. I think they might have a Terra. I'm not 100%. But, and there it is. You can read that there, Bouchette Design. So that was the Lenormand. I'm saying it properly. The last video, I just said Lenormand. So now I'm like saying it right. Another one that reminds me of spring is the Squid Cake Marseille Tarot that I absolutely love. I love the colors. That's why it reminds me of spring, is mainly the colors. It has an awesome little book to it. It's a really good little book. Here are the backs. And it came edged pink. And I love this deck, considering I've said before, it's not my art style, and I don't read Marseille. I will learn, but I don't know yet. And I am in love with this deck. And this deck reminds me of spring. And I know it's the pinks and the greens, the pastelish, the toned down oranges. And it's so much fun. It's a deck that reminds you of spring in the way that it wants you to come out and play. That's what it's like. It wants you to come out and play. And if you remember, if you were a kid and you grew up where you had an actual winter, a rough winter, being able to go out and play was a huge spring rite of passing. It was a big deal. And that's what this deck reminds me of. And it's fun. It's this quirky little creatures on the Two of Cups there. I love this deck so, so much. So yeah, this was the Squid Cake Marseille Tarot and by Jess Rollar. And it is published by Rockpool. All right. Next, let's do this tarot deck. So this deck is the Wandering Star Tarot. And it is by, see who wrote it, Kat Pierce. Here's the booklet that went with it. Gives a good description of the card, and each card has a little quote. So like Judgment has the keywords, it talks about the card. And then the quote is, "Man never made any material as resilient as the human spirit," by Bernard Williams. I love the quotes. On a lot of these, it just ties in with the card and I connect better with it. These are the backs. This is, I call this my hippie deck, but it reminds me of spring because of the colors. It's also a fun deck because it's got the bright colors and a little bit of quirkiness to it. Inviting you to come out and play and open up. It does have keywords. Each card has keywords at some point going across. Here it's in the sun. It has extra card, the creator, and there's another extra card too. I can't remember what it's called though. But this is definitely my spring to summer deck. I love this deck. It's got a nice soft card stock. It's not too stiff or loose. So yeah, it just brings out that brightness that spring brings with more sun and green grass and the flowers and people dressing brighter too, coming out of winter. And that's what I get from this deck for spring. And that's the Wandering Star Tarot. The next one is the Linestrider Tarot by Siolo Thompson. This one is so spring. It is watercolor. I also have the mini of this. So this one has a big book. The Linestrider's Journey. And so she has a picture of the card and then keywords, and then goes into a very long thing about the card. And then it has correspondences, numbers, associated birthdays, and associated plants. So it's a really good guidebook to dig in. And because it's watercolor, that is that softness of spring. There are the backs. So it just has like the pen and ink and then watercolor throughout. Now, when I got the mini, I've said this in another video, I was really disappointed because of the way the artwork is in the watercolor. It was really hard for me to see details on the mini. So I was very disappointed in that. But this one, the full size, I love. It brings out the spring with the colors and the lightness of it. And then the way she does like the back in the back, she'll have like the ink colors, ink, black ink, and then color popping out from that. It really does speak to coming out of winter to me. And it's beautiful. I love her artwork. I just think it's absolutely gorgeous. Love this deck. So that was the Linestrider Tarot. Next, let's go to a tarot and oracle set, which is Tarot of the Mystical Moments and Oracle of the Mystical Moments by Catrin Welz-Stein. And I'm not sure I can explain why I think this is springy to me, but it is. It's got a good little book. Here are the backs. And it's got silver edging. I think it has to do a bit with maybe color that is used, but I think it's a lot to do with the whimsy. And I think that for me, whimsy in this way is very spring-like. That playfulness, that getting outside after a hard winter. And just embracing nature and the colors of nature. And I think this is so awesome. There's a mini of this too. I do not have that one though. But in case you're interested, I love this artwork, this whimsical artwork. There was, I was gonna say, somebody else, Lynn Araujo, did helped with this too. And this Catrin Welz-Stein, I know she did another oracle that has come out recently. I can't remember the name of it, but you'll see similarities in the figures and the whimsical nature of her art. And I just think it's fun. I think it reads really great too. You get the most interesting readings out of this because of the artwork, because it's that good and can pull out so many messages. So that was the tarot of mystical moments. And then I'll just show real quick the oracle because it goes with it. So the oracle's not edged, but the backs are the same. And it's that same whimsy, colorful decks, but in an oracle. So look at her dress is the rose and it's pure nature. I love that. I just love how nature and the figures combine together into one, basically, whether it's their clothing, their hair, their interactions. Like she's sitting on a mushroom and she has a mushroom umbrella. I just think it's beautiful. I love it. So that's the Oracle of Mystical Moments by Catrin Welz-Stein. Next, I got this one fairly recently, the Numinous Astro deck. So I have a few different astrology-based decks. This one, it's got a really good book in it that goes over the card, the sign with a keyword, or main keyword, the idealist, and then other keywords, the quality, element, planet, house, symbol, body part, color, metal, and gemstone. What else? City, scent, style, and tarot card. And then it talks about it. And then it gives a paragraph when you pull this card, what that means. So it's a good little book. They are divided up. So we have the house. These were actually mine. So I pulled out the sun, Capricorn, and the ninth house. There we go. But they're divided up. So you have conjunction, opposition, quincunx. I probably said that wrong. Semisextile, sextile, square. And then the signs with the keyword on it and a main keyword, and then other keywords also. So you don't need the book to read this. You have everything you need on the cards. And I think for it does remind me again with the coloring and everything of coming out of the darkness of winter and moving into that lightness and into summer. And in this, it's also because the figures they're being themselves, as quirky as it is. And that is kind of like this one. She looks like she's spinning, which is like when you're a little kid and you get to go outside and you just spin around. Then they have the houses. And then the planets. And they all have the keywords on the cards. So for my astrology decks, this is the one that speaks spring to me. That lightness, that fun, lightheartedness that you get in spring, or I feel you get in spring. Because, you know, it's not hot, so you're not like having to sit around because the sun's scorching down on you. So you're more active, things are coming alive. I think people come alive more in spring too. And then the last couple, I also think of love in spring. And I know we have Valentine's Day, not quite in spring, but it reminds me, spring reminds me of love. And so I have this, the Enchanted Love Tarot, color-coded, really good book with lots of info on the card and reversals. And this is the deck that I use for love readings. And I don't do many of them, but when I do, I use this deck. There are the backs. So the wings are air. The gems are earth. So it is a pip card. Let's see what else we got. But you can see the colors are kind of springy. Roses are fire. And I said wings are air. What am I missing? Cups. It's that blooming, blossoming idea that you feel from having like roses as one of the signs, and wings. It's that opening up. There you go. Water is shells. And flying about. So that was the Enchanted Love Tarot. That's by Amy Zerner and Monte Farber. And then the other one, of course, that I would have to pull out if I'm doing love is the Goddess of Love Tarot by Gabriela Herstik and illustrated by Juliet Popescu. And this is for divine feminine and self-love, but it still brings that feeling of love that I think is in spring. Here's the book. It's a good book again with keywords, the goddess, the astrological correspondence, an affirmation, a journal question, and a ritual. So you can really work with this deck deeply for your own divine feminine and your own femininity. Even if you're predominantly masculine, you still have femininity in you. And I think everyone should be able to reach that part of themselves. Here are the backs. I did edge mine. And so here we are in these beautiful collaged pictures, bringing that idea of love and sensuality, and also an openness. And I think spring really is an openness. You're going outside more. The flowers are getting ready to bloom. The birds are out. And there's just an open feeling. And I think this deck embraces that too. So I'm sure you've all seen this. This is the Goddess of Love Tarot. Absolutely fell in love with this. Love working with it. It goes deep, but yet it has a gentleness to it that I think maybe is in the divine feminine, is that gentleness. And that's also a spring idea. There you go. So those are the decks that I picked for to work with in spring, depending on the different parts of spring. And when we get closer to summer, then it kind of changes a little for me. Some of them kind of feel beginning spring, and the others feel closer to summer and into summer. So it's not definitely, just spring. So there you go. Thank you for joining. Like the video, please, and subscribe if you're not. And it was good seeing you, and we'll see you again. Bye.